on the computer. Okay, here we are. The Zilosophy Podcast, first video podcast done by necessity because we're all distancing from each other. We have Nana Z with us. You know her from Zilosophy TV with Uncle Z and Friends, the star of the show. Also my mother, Janet Zildjian. Hi, Mom.
Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm good. I miss you.
I miss you too. That's actually where I want to start. But before that, let's ask the question that everybody's wondering about Nana Z. Are you wearing pants?
What do you mean? That's not even funny.
I thought it was. I thought we'd start with a joke because I feel like this will be a little bit of a heavier emotional episode.
Yeah.
And I want to remind all of us, especially myself and you and everybody, that we can laugh through difficult times. You know, this is something everybody's struggling right now. And I want to get into that a little bit later, that, you know, it's a great reminder of that we're all challenged by life. But first, I want to jump in and tell you I miss you too. For those who don't know me that well, I've been living with you and Dad the last year, and mostly with family the last 5 years, with my siblings and with my parents while I developed this project. And one of the things I've learned from coronavirus is that it's easy to get caught up and take things for granted.
Right.
And you know, I've done that with you and Dad. Already getting emotional. Here we go. This has really shown me how much I miss you and how much I care about you guys. And I feel so blessed that, you know, as a man in my 40s living with my parents, it's kind of a weird thing sometimes. But, you know, I lived away from you guys from the time I was 18 until just about then, and missed out on a lot of time with you guys. So I'm very blessed to have the time that I have with you, and to have the moments I've had with you over this past year and these past few years. And it really hits you when it's taken away.
I know. And even though we're like, I don't know, what, 10 miles
away from each other, and I can't even see you. It's crazy, but it's
we're like 5 miles apart, but we can't be together because of the distancing and the possibilities of getting sick. And
yeah. So I just want to start by telling people what I'm going through, and that's just one of the difficult parts of this for me, is to know you guys are right down the street and I can't come hug you.
I know. It's the hugging and the touching of, I mean, we're a huggy, touchy family, and it's hard not to be able to do that with all the kids and the grands.
Yeah.
I feel so blessed in so many ways, but first of all, that we're here in Florida with beautiful weather, so that I can get out every day and do either a bike ride or a walk with my music in this beautiful area, and start my day with meditation and prayers, and a walk kind of gets me going. And try not to watch too much of that television, and the doom and gloom is just so frightening.
The fear, and yeah, I mean, it's a scary enough time as it is to not have to plug into what news stations, and you know, you've been a part of my TV show and seen Divide the Nation, and why I make a joke out of it, because it's a serious thing. We plug into these networks and these TV shows that divide us, and they profit off of our fear and our divisiveness, and we're the ones that allow it. We're in charge of the media. If we stop watching, they have to do something else.
Right.
And people trick themselves into thinking, well, I need to stay informed. Okay, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Are you just going to be angry or sad all the time? And you know this. I've talked to you a lot about this because it's been I think it's about almost 6 or 7 years now since I've watched the news
Yeah.
regularly. I mean, I catch it every now and again when you guys are watching it or someone else is watching it, but I just don't participate. And it was a hard decision to try and decide that I am going to choose to be a little bit underinformed rather than sad or angry all the time.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start with that and with telling you how much you mean to me and how much I miss you and how important it is to use times like this to reflect on what's really important and what's not. And I want to share with you something that Roussel shared with me last night. Roussel is Allison's sort of business coach, if you will, and she's an incredibly wise soul for the young woman that she is. And she shared a Hawaiian prayer with me called, I'm going to try and get you to say this too. I don't even know if I can say it. Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponono. Ho'oponono. Can you say it?
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah. So that's the prayer and mantra. And it is 4 very simple phrases that you repeat over and over to yourself in a meditation. And also something that I've realized that I'm just sort of started since yesterday repeating silently to myself and also silently to other people. And it goes, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it's a very simple, very beautiful prayer and mantra that I think we should all be, these are times when it's good to simplify things. That's what we're all being forced to do, right? Aside from the technology and the little IT that we did before this.
Yeah. Say again, though, the English translation.
I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That's beautiful.
Beautiful. And I think most importantly, it's something we should all be saying to ourselves.
Yes.
To give ourselves the space that we're not perfect and we're not dealing with this the best way we could or should. Yeah. And that's sort of what I want to transition to. One thing I've noticed, I don't know about you, is that people are sort of doubling down on shaming each other and judging each other and being mean to each other when this is the time to go in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah,
because let me finish and then I'll bring you in. One thing that I've talked a lot about on this podcast and in my writings and all my stuff is that we're all dealing with difficult challenges in life. This is not an easy game. By the way, it's also supposed to be fun, which is why we should laugh and giggle, even though we're having a serious podcast in a serious time. But everybody's dealing with something. And something that I noticed when people were sort of coming at me last week more than usual was, do they have any idea what I'm going through right now? I mean, my business I built to support itself all on live talks, which just disappeared like that. So now I'm reconfiguring and doing Zoom podcasts and Zoom talks. Sorry about the plane in the background, by the way. But what I realized in that is that, okay, so I need to stop and ask myself, do I have any idea what they're going through? Because we're all dealing with something really difficult, whether it's, I have a high school friend that just lost her dad and, can't do a proper funeral and proper wake or any of that stuff. So if it's something super difficult like that, or just you lost your job, or you're stuck at home and you don't know what to do and you're anxious. I mean, this is challenging for all of us, no matter what. And we need to learn to support each other and help each other and encourage each other instead of shaming and judging each other. What do you think?
Well, first came to mind was Dad working here on a whole new system of things that he has to do at work, but doing it all from remotely and trying to toggle back and forth on the computer and just having compassion for what he's going through, but that he needs to have compassion for himself because he's not really a tech guy. and he's doing it, and that he's even doing it and able to get through the day, even though it's not up to the standards that he puts on himself. So that's a lesson for all of us too, because we put the demands on ourselves about how we should be and what we should be and how it should look, and I should, but he is doing it, and to just, I have compassion for him for trying and learning, but he needs to also have compassion for himself too.
You know him better than anyone else. That's a difficult one for him.
Yes, it is.
It's difficult for all of us.
Yeah.
He makes it especially difficult. And for those who don't know, my dad is 77, still works for the state of Massachusetts Highway Department, takes the train and bus into Boston 5 days a week, which he can't do now. So now he's working remotely from Florida. And I was thinking about him the other day. I mean, I've thought about you guys a lot, obviously, but thinking about how there's always been this not always, but recently been this conversation of should he retire or not, which we've all sort of given up on. And now he keeps bringing back, well, maybe I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. But, that this has forced him to see that there is another way, that he, in fact, it's possible that he could work from home for as long as he wants for the state until he retires or doesn't retire.
Exactly.
He was always stuck in this box of I have to stick in my routine and in my comfort zone. And that routine and comfort zone just got blown out of the water for all of us.
Right.
Which I think is another one of the great lessons. And one of the things that I started about this whole Zilosophy movement and things that I wanted to learn. And, I don't say enough that as I'm talking during podcasts, when I'm writing, even on the TV show, mostly I'm talking to myself, not other people. And I think it comes off wrong. And I take part responsibility for that sometimes, that I'm talking about other people. I'm really talking about myself, because this is all stuff I'm working on. And one of the first lessons was that comfort bubble, that it's complete bullshit. We build these comfort bubbles so that we feel good, but they can all go away like that. It's fake. It's not real.
I think it's a big wake-up call for everybody. Things are not, and nor do we want them to be the way they were. I mean, this has us take a hard look at all phases of our lives and to really see what's important.
Yeah.
And it's not the bank book. And I know that's hard to hear when people are losing their jobs and not being able to put food on the table and all of that. But having each other and loving and caring for one another is the most important thing. And what these nurses and doctors are doing is just incredible.
Yeah.
And I pray for them every day. And I wish I was younger and more able to participate and help myself.
You've done your service to other people as a nurse for 50 years, and your service now is doing exactly what you're doing, praying and sending love. And I think it's another amazing byproduct of what we're going through, that people are actually starting to stop and think, we've defined heroism completely false in our society. Successful business people, athletes, whatever, all these people that we think are so great. And we're realizing who the real heroes are: the nurses, the doctors. How about the catering people at the hospitals, the janitors and custodians at the hospitals, the behind the scenes crew at the hospitals, the truckers, the teachers who are scrambling to figure this technology out so that they can give some structure and some comfort to kids of just having a routine. These are the real heroes. And maybe we should reevaluate and treat them that way.
Right. The first responders, the firefighters, the policemen, everybody that's on the front lines of this. They're being called to go beyond themselves, and they are. And they really are.
And it's providing some other great opportunities too. Like tomorrow night, we're going to have a family Zoom party
Right.
with
That should be interesting.
your siblings and our cousins and my siblings and your kids and grandkids. And I don't know, maybe there'll be 20 or 25 of us on the call. And, on a normal weekend, we'd all be just doing different things and not connecting. And this is forcing us to remember how important that connection is with our family, with our close friends. I've seen lots of people doing Zoom cocktail parties with their friends and all kinds of stuff like that. So, again, I think the ultimate lesson here is that it can no longer be denied how connected we all are. There's physical proof, emotional, physical, financial proof all over the world that shows how connected we are with each other.
I've been touching base with Stefania in Italy, where we stayed to see if they're all okay, and they are. They've made it through so far, and last week they were sanitizing the office and hopefully getting ready to reopen.
Yeah.
So that was
heartbreaking what's going on there. We were there less than a year ago. To think that yesterday morning when I looked, the mortality rate in Italy was 12%.
Yeah.
I mean, just heartbreaking.
It is, really.
And that's what gets back to where we started. This is a difficult time for all of us, and it forces all of us to reflect. And like you said, the world will never go back to the way it was. That's gone. I still see some people online that are longing for those days, and it's only been a few weeks. It feels like months.
It does. It really does.
Because we've learned and grown so much in those few weeks and experienced this emotional roller coaster that we've all been on. Now when people ask me how I am, I just say, on the roller coaster, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But, it causes us to take a step back and gives us an opportunity to go, okay, well, if the world is going to change and it just shifted, then we now have some say on how we want it to be from here on out.
Right, exactly.
And how are we going to create the world so that it works and that we leave something behind that we're proud of for future generations, which people have been complaining about for months and years. And as you know, that's why I started this work, because I couldn't be one of those people that was complaining about that and heartbroken about that and not doing anything about it.
I think just being a good friend, I have a few friends that are alone and dealing with this alone. And I think that must be so hard to do, because I'm such a people person, and to be able to be here with Diana and her family, and you with Mark and Allison, we at least have family around. But those people that are alone, I have a high school friend who's alone and scared and worried. Her husband's in a nursing home, and I just, I reach out and call here and there people like that. And if we do that, and she says she has absolutely nobody. She has no family. And it just makes me feel how blessed I am.
Yeah. And I think that's really a really important thing you said too. When things like this happen, our natural reaction is to go, oh my gosh, how am I going to protect myself and my family? For me, myself and you guys, my extended family. And what am I going to do? Oh my God, I just lost all my income. How's it going to work? What am I going to do? And you start to become sort of by reaction narcissistic. I have to focus inward. I have to take care of myself. And it's actually the wrong thing to do. The best thing for you to do personally, for any of us to do personally, is to do what you did. And I've started doing more and more the last few days. Every time I see someone now, first I ask them, like, really look them in the eyes. How are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Because if you look through the reality that everybody's struggling right now, we should be checking in on each other all the time,
Right.
as much as we possibly can within our means. And with technology like this, it's heavily within our means now
Yeah.
to connect with people and check on them. And this has been a hard career transition for me, going from the entertainment business to becoming, this author, speaker, podcaster, and trying to build this positive platform. And many nights lying in bed going, is it going to work? Does anybody care? Is it worth it? Am I just crazy? And through those challenges, I learned an important lesson was to get out of my own head. The best way to do that was to go and help somebody else with something that they're struggling
And then when you talk to them, and like this person, she's in a much worse situation than I am. And I said, call me anytime if you just want to talk. I don't know when we'll get to be able to go to lunch together again. I have no idea, and I would love to do that. But in the meantime, we can talk on the phone at least,
Yeah.
And I think that it helps me get out of my head and about the fears that I have, and to feel as blessed as I am that I have people around,
Yeah. And you're right. We're both in Florida, even though we're at 5 miles apart and can't see each other in person right now. We're very lucky. We can go outside. I've been outside here in Mark's pool, swimming every morning, doing yoga every morning. We're very blessed. And still, it's been incredibly challenging the last couple of weeks. I mean, I just feel like an emotional wreck half the time. And the other thing that is really a challenge that I've been feeling, that I want to talk to people about and see what you think about it, is, the universe has forced us all into a timeout.
Yeah.
It's time to stop. It's time to reflect. And also there are people like me who can still be productive and can work and can use this as an opportunity to help people. And then from that, be able to sustain my living from helping other people. And I've been really struggling with the balance of how to take enough time to take a break, to relax, to rest, to recoup, and to reflect. But also, I should be doing something. There's things I can be doing. And how am I going to get my way out of this? Which, like I said, I've transitioned out of that thinking the past couple of days with the help of Roussel here and some others. The thinking is, how do I help more people? And through helping more people, I will help myself both emotionally and financially. And that's why I started doing, this is the first, video conference podcast.
Well, I think it's important to do, but I think we need to be. We're not human doings. We're human beings. We say that a lot. We're beings. We have to be, and we have to learn to be with the discomfort that we feel. I think we all run away from that. I'm an example of that. Food, a drink, something. If I'm uncomfortable, that's my go-to thing. And we need to just go inside and say, okay, I'm afraid this minute, or I don't feel great this minute, but that too will pass, and just allow it to be. I think that's a key.
Yeah.
Is to be with whatever feeling it is.
Yeah, and it's a great forced lesson. I mean, you and I try and practice this a lot, and it's still incredibly difficult, and neither of us are great at it, even though we practice a lot.
Right.
It's something that takes an incredible amount of practice to get good at, because like you said, our whole society, in the matter of about 100 years, maybe 150, we've transformed the whole world into human doings instead of human beings. And it's causing a lot of chaos and pain in the world because we don't know how to sit still. Like you said, we numb ourselves, whether it's food, alcohol, gambling, watching crap reality TV, watching crap sports TV, which is how I decompress. And, you know, having all of that stuff. I mean, to have what has happened and have everything ripped away all at once,
Everything taken away. Yeah.
all at once is, I mean, just a month ago was literally, we couldn't even have processed that.
No.
Even when it was starting, we're going, well, they can't shut down everything. Like, we're going to have to keep doing some things, aren't we?
Yeah.
Nope.
A rude awakening.
Very rude.
Rude awakening.
Frankly, universe. I choose to be offended
very rude.
by the rudeness. But, you know, the second word is the important one.
Yes.
This is a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna heed it? Or are we gonna go, when this ends, and it will one day, and we will get through this, are we gonna go right back to the crap we were doing before, which was leading us down the wrong path, knowing that we were going down the wrong path and not stopping it? So the universe said, okay, I'll stop it. Are we gonna make the necessary changes? Again, we can't sit here and go, well, I can't change the world. No, you can't. I can't. You can't. But we can each change ourselves. We can each go inward and figure out what's really important to me, what's important to us, what's important to the world, what's important in our relationships, in our careers. Mostly it's not the stuff we were worried about a month ago.
True. Yeah, opening day.
Right.
Right? Our big event every year.
The first few days of this, when they canceled the Masters and March Madness tournament, I was, from just that, I was already on the verge of tears. Those are my two favorite things, sports things all year. And I really look forward to that time for that excitement and that thing. But then you realize when it's ripped away, it's really not that important. It's nice,
yeah,
but it's not that important.
That's another, if you want to say distraction,
yeah,
right, from our being.
Yeah.
You know?
Staring at the TV instead of being.
Right.
Which we all do. Something that I've wanted to get better at my whole life, and maybe have a little bit here and there, but overall, not really. I mean, that is how I decompress, as I turn on sports and I just don't think about anything. And you're right, it's a distraction. It takes me away from who I am and what I'm here to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we need time to rest too. So, like, it's not to say when this all comes back and there's sports on TV, I'm not going to watch anymore. Of course I am, but I need to be, I think, a little more responsible,
right,
with dividing my time.
Mm-hmm. I think.
How about you? Are you missing your shows?
I haven't really. I mean, they've been on, but they all ended, you know. But and for me, I'd rather watch that than watch the news at this point. But we've been playing. We rented. Oh no, we actually bought the 3 tenor performance with Pavarotti and the other two guys, Carreras and Placido Domingo. And we've been playing that concert. It was in LA, and there was 64,000 people there, and it was just an unbelievable concert. And so that feels good when we have that playing and watching that.
I mean, just even things like that we took for granted. We could go to see a great concert whenever we want and feel this emotional recharge, like you with your Bocelli and your Bocelli groupies.
Right.
Because it's like your spiritual thing. I mean, that's another thing too. Churches and temples and mosques all shut down. I mean, still a lot of them are doing online stuff. Yeah, which is great. But, you know, I think that I said this on the last podcast that I don't know if you listened to that one yet, when I was driving down, because I think, and I hope that with being forced to be apart from each other so much and for so long after all of this. I hope that we'll learn to appreciate each other more.
I think
Uh,
that.
I certainly have with you and Dad. You know, it's easy to get stuck in the rut of teasing your parents and making fun of your parents and being annoyed by the quirks of your parents. We all do that.
Right. I mean, I
And
did it with Nana too, you know.
yeah,
So
and
I
I
know.
do, you know, when we're living in close quarters, I do feel bad about that sometimes, that I'm, you know, I'm a little
Sorry,
too
I
hard
think
on you guys or whatever. Um,
I
but
think there's
again,
noise in the background, and I apologize. I think somebody's mowing grass or something.
okay, I don't hear it yet, so we'll keep going. And if I start to hear it, I'll let you know.
All right.
Um, but you know, I mean, and with you guys too, it's not, I mean, with you especially, you know, we've had some spiritual journeys. We went to Spain together on the Camino de Santiago. We had this amazing spiritual time together. And it was really that time that I realized that with you, you know, you're a great mother. You've always been there for me. You've always shown me love and support. It's been amazing. But with you and I, we have even more special connection than that. You're getting emotional again. Sorry, guys. You're the best friend I've ever had. And, you know, things like that are not okay to take for granted.
No, that was quite a trip. And I just like offhandedly asked you, would you? I didn't even get the words out, and you were like, "I'm in."
Yeah,
And
well, I think it
I
went
had
like,
no idea
I think my
what.
response was, Spain's pretty much my favorite place in the world, and you're pretty much my favorite person in the world. So I don't know how I could say no to that invitation.
Even with all the old folks, but we had a great
We
time.
had no idea how special it would be, really.
No, we didn't.
The spiritual enlightening that we would have, the connection that we would have, the different people that we encountered, the food, the wine, all of it.
All, and Ari saw that movie The Way in Spanish class.
Oh, yeah?
And he said he wants to go do that.
Awesome.
And I said, you should talk to Uncle Michael. He wants to do the real thing all the way. We did the easy way, the motor coach tour. It was still spectacular.
I made myself a promise that I would do that before I turned 50.
Right.
And I'm starting to run out of time. I got a little more than 4 years left to get it done.
Better get in shape and ready.
I'm in shape, as you know. I feel very blessed that my intuition was to start this year by taking care of myself physically, because I hadn't done that a lot last year. So, you know, I did 30 straight days of yoga, didn't drink for 2 months, have been eating mostly very healthy, and lost 15 pounds. So I feel so blessed. I can't imagine if I hadn't done that, how I'd be feeling physically and emotionally now. And also now continuing and rebuilding here a new morning program to burn off energy, starting the day with yoga and swimming as just like a meditative energy release has been invaluable. And I know a lot of people are stuck inside and can't really work out the way they'd like to, but I would suggest finding some routine, whatever you can do, push-ups, sit-ups, something just to burn off energy and to keep your body physically healthy.
Well, I think about the yoga studio is doing online classes now.
Yeah, have you done that yet?
And after this is over, you have to walk me through about how to get online to do that.
Okay, I haven't looked at that yet, actually, but yes, I will take over for Diana to be your IT tech support for the day.
Support, right.
Poor Diana's been Nana and Papa tech support for a couple weeks now.
Oh my goodness. If it wasn't for her, Daddy wouldn't be working on his computer. That's awesome. we laugh and joke about he needs to call Teresa at his office and put in a request for tech support pay for Di.
Yeah, I know. It's, it's one of those things that like there's those little moments of beauty amongst this chaos and pain of just that, like seeing Dad work. And he's such a hard worker. No offense to any other state workers. We know they get a bad rap, but he's got to be the hardest working state worker in history.
No.
And to see him to be able to think that that guy at 77 is now working remotely for Massachusetts from Florida.
If anybody told us that 3 or 4 years ago, we would be hysterical laughing.
3 or 4 months ago.
4
weeks ago.
Laughing hysterical. No way is that happening.
Never happened. And I talked to him last night, and he said, well, we were talking about the golf course behind Diana's. Is it going to stay open? And even if it closes after work, he can go out, play a couple holes just to decompress, smoke a cigar, whatever. He said, well, I have to be at my desk from 9 to 5. That's when they expect me to be there. I said, you're unbelievable. I mean, again, there's no state worker or private worker, very few that are that rigorous. And I said, well, Dad, at 5:01, you can walk right out the backyard and go play a couple holes of golf.
Right, exactly. And they're actually open. They're not closing the golf courses because they said it's a exercise that it's an essential need.
Well, I mean, it's a debatable thing, but I think for me personally, I wrote a book about golf. Oh, I meant to have it here. Zilosophy on Golf on Amazon. Get it.
Oh, I don't know either.
But for me, there's a lot of mental health involved with getting out to play a few holes of golf. And to be able to do that safely, and we have done that the last couple of weeks. There's no more rakes at the golf courses. You can't touch the pin. They disinfect the golf carts before you get in them. They wipe the whole thing down. I bring Purell with me. We stay apart from each other. There's no more high-fiving. But, it is a good exercise and a good mental exercise too. So, I'm kind of glad to hear that. I hope there's not too much of a backlash. I know that the Florida governor said that they're going to keep churches open here, which I find that one hard to believe. I get it because I think that there's a huge value in letting people keep their spiritual connection and their connection to community. But it's very dangerous right now to get lots of people together in the same building.
Yeah,
so I don't understand that one.
Yeah, an open area that you could do a service at,
Still, if somebody sneezes in the air 30 yards away from you at the same time where you happen to be yawning and the wind's blowing in your direction.
Well, a while ago, I just, people might not agree with me, but I don't feel like you have to go to church to talk to God. You can talk from your own bedroom every day.
I think that might be one of the big lessons too, is, there's still these big infrastructure religious things all over the world. And now people are forced to, again, with the online stuff, you can still stay connected to that, which I think is good too, because the big part of those that is undeniably valuable is the sense of community you get with those like-minded people. But I think that people are being forced to stay home, and hopefully they're listening to your advice and realizing that, if you're a spiritual person and you believe in God, you don't need to go to a building to talk to God or to have a relationship.
We know from personal experience being in Spain, when we got to the Cathedral de Santiago, any of the churches or cathedrals we went into, we were immediately struck by the power and the holiness of it, But I can feel that way at the sequoias in California because they're so magnificent. It's like being in church. That's how I describe it. It's like being in church. It's such a holy place. And everywhere we went in Spain was like that. And in Italy, I mean, that same feeling with the awe of those gorgeous, gorgeous buildings.
Yeah,
Being in,
I mean, mine, you didn't get to my favorite, which was the Chiesa de San Francesco in Cortona, which was the most simple, understated church, but just so beautiful from the energy that was there. You could still feel his presence, really. And one thing I hope that people realize too is what you're saying is that, you know, people that believe in God think it's this thing that's defined. You know, we use words like God, but it could be universe, consciousness, science. I mean, it's all human words that we use to describe something that's so beyond human comprehension. The words don't do it justice anyway. So pick a word. It doesn't even matter. But if you believe in that concept, if that speaks to you and you feel that connection, then God is in everything. Right? I mean, isn't that the definition of it? So, you know, to go through a rigorous, well, this is what we believe and this is how religion has to be and how our spirituality has to be. I've never connected with that. I still go to churches where I don't necessarily buy into all the dogma of those churches, but I've learned to focus on the things that I do connect with.
mm-hmm.
And there are lots of beautiful things in all kinds of religions. And I ultimately think they're all the same. They all point back to the same source, whatever the creator of all of this is.
And that's what you can say too. It's the source, whatever you call it, whether it be Buddha, Allah, God, the universe, whatever. And it's in all of us. And we have everything we need inside of us, and we don't stop enough to tap in and know that.
Yeah. I mean, that was really the takeaway in that book, Mary Magdalene Revealed, that
Right.
we just read, right? Was that these early books of Christianity were hidden by the Roman Catholic Church at the Council of Nicaea in the 4th century, where they said, well, those books, they don't serve our purpose, so we're just going to get rid of them. The Book of Mary, the Book of Thomas, there's a few others. But, and what most of what the teachings were of those books that they got rid of was that you don't need to go to a building, you don't need to put money in the hat every week. Again, for a sense of community, I still think there's a ton of value in those places. That's why I like to go to them, because of the sense of community. But like you said, everything we've ever needed or will ever need comes from within. That's the lesson of the Book of Mary. And that's why they got rid of it. Because they wanted at that time for you to need the church. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that when the Roman Empire fell, it just reformed as the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
That was their way to keep that control and financial system going that they had.
And now we're back to where we are, control and financial system.
That was an unintentional segue back to what we're dealing with now.
Unbelievable.
You know, money is a made-up concept. The stock markets, I've laughed for years because, you know, I'm a math person and my brain works that way, but I can't stand following the stock market. It's a math equation made up by people's feelings, and we live our whole lives based on what it does. That's insane.
I know. Well, somebody on TV said the other day, what if we just stopped? What if we just said, hey, no money's changing hands right now? None. What would that be like?
Well, you know, I've in certain areas had to sort of go into that type of a way of being because of, you know, this was supposed to be a big month for me of making a bunch of money from live talk so that I could continue to support the podcast and the TV show and the other stuff that I'm doing, but that went away. So how do I reconfigure? And a lot of it is through bartering.
Yeah.
And trading things,
right.
Trading services and helping other people with things that they're struggling with. And, you know, the conversation I just had this morning was about maybe building some sort of a program for families that are stuck at home. You know, that's really kids and their parents are, to me, the key. Kids are the future, and we need to give them the tools to build the world in a way that makes sense for everybody. But in order to do that, we have to learn how to do it, which means we have to rewire our brains. So getting to doing something like this with a family and just having an open, honest conversation, sort of like what we did when we were kids and we went to family therapy, but I'm not a therapist. It's really just talking about the stuff that we're dealing with and the challenges that we're dealing with, and how do we communicate with each other, and how do we make good choices. Is the best choice when I'm banging my brother over the head because he's annoying me? No. But how do you stop yourself as a kid from doing that? I lived it, so I have some perspective on that. You lived it too. We made that joke in the pilot of the show about you being a young mom and not knowing how to deal with your feelings and emotions, and how to discipline 4 wild kids. So the wooden spoon was the tool of the time.
Italian way, the wooden spoon.
And as I said on that show, and I'll say it again here, I certainly don't condone that for anybody in this day and age. But I'll also say that it was absolutely 100% necessary for us. That's how we found the line at that time. We didn't know where the line was until the spoon came out, and then we knew we had just crossed it.
And I didn't know how to communicate where the line was without the spoon.
Yeah. Well, and we did, to your credit too, you guys did bring us all the family therapy, and we did talk about that and talk about those feelings. And I remember you and Dad telling me, I love you, but I don't like your behavior right now. And, trying to process the words and the separation of feelings as a young kid was an interesting experience, but also a valuable one, because I learned there's a difference.
Yeah, Armin still is shaking his head over that one. He still doesn't separate that, he says.
Well, look, I think that, I just had this conversation this morning with someone else. It's not a requirement that we like each other all the time. We're not going to. Even you and I, who have this incredible connection on so many levels, can get frustrated with each other and angry with each other. And, in that moment, we don't like each other.
Right.
It doesn't replace the love that we have for each other. And that's my hope for all humanity, is that we learn that lesson. We don't have to like each other all the time, but we do have to respect and love each other all the time. That's what this is about. We are all connected. What you do to someone else, you do to yourself. And that's the lesson we all need to learn. And I hope that this is one of those things that can really drive it home. We can't continue to keep thinking that those people over there don't matter, whether they're annoying or whether we think that they're wrong in the way that they think they're wrong. We can't get rid of those people and then fix the world. It doesn't work that way.
No. We all have to come together and make it work, no matter what side of the fence you're on, no matter what,
So how do we do that?
One person at a time, just one person at a time. Each one
I think you're right. I think each of us has to take our own responsibility for ourselves. And that's how the whole hypothesis of Zilosophy started. I told the story many times, but I'll tell it again briefly here. I thought that if I could start something where I could pass on some positive things and some good choices about ways of being in the world, that I could really help some people and help bring people together. But I realized very early on that I couldn't do that. The only thing I could do was do that for myself. And that's why I said, when I talk to other people and I'm doing a podcast or I'm writing, I'm really just talking to myself about, hey, this is the thing that you need to be working on. And that the hypothesis was that if we all did that, if 7.5 billion of us made an agreement right now, today, on April 3rd, that we all agree from here on out to do our best each and every day from here on out, the world would be fine in a really, really surprisingly short amount of time. I think. Of course, again, it's a theory. We don't know until we try it. I'd love to see us try it.
worth a try.
That's why I do things like Divide the Nation. There's no value in pointing out other people's flaws. You're only frustrating them, and then you're not working on your own things you need to work on. None of us are perfect. We're never going to be. We're always going to have stuff that we each need to work on individually. How do we get into a place where we just focus on that while not being self-centered, that we're doing this on behalf of the greater good? The best thing I can do for the greater good is be the best person I'm capable of being.
And then leading by example for the kids too, for the younger generation, the teens and the little ones.
That's the whole point, is that I can't do it for other people. I can only do it for myself and hope that I inspire them to do their version of trying to be the best person they're capable of being. We're all different, but we're all the same. We're all human beings. We all have stuff to work on. But we all can share the gifts that we have with the world that can help the greater good. That's what this country was founded on. Standing together. United we stand, divided we fall. And we just keep going back to divided and wondering why we're falling.
You have to go back to basics. You have to go back to how it was when there were horses and wagons.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. I had that from Joe Chiodo in one of our text groups the other day, said, we should learn from our forefathers. And I said, I just learned recently that our forefathers were a mess too. Washington's army marched for 7 years. For the last 3 or 4 of that, Congress couldn't figure out a way to pay them. This was before we were even a country. There was a Congress already, and we weren't paying the army that was fighting to give us our freedom. They barely had food. We made sure they had enough beer because they wanted to keep their morale high. And then after the war, Washington became president out of necessity because none of those other guys could get out of their own way and put their differences aside to act in the best interest of the country first. And he was the only guy that anybody trusted to do that. So he got dragged into being president, which he did not want. He wanted to go retire in Virginia and go back to being a farmer, which is what he fought so hard for. And he couldn't do it because he was called to serve again. So really, there's 2 ways you can look at that. It's like, oh my God, it's always been this way, we're doomed. Or, oh, it's not so bad. It's not something that we've done recently. It's always been like that. Maybe we need to figure out a better way to take this great country that has done great things and make it even better by learning to work together on behalf of the greater good for all. So I'd like you to write a business plan on how we do that, since you have a bunch of extra time on your hands. Nana's
business plan. Shut up and just do it.
Nana Z's constitution.
No, I meant my mom.
Nana's, no, I know what you meant.
Yeah, that would be her version of the business plan, right?
Yeah. And as great a woman she was not one who, always thought on behalf of the greater good. She did for her family.
She did for her family, for sure.
But she was, I mean, even at the end, if she saw, well, I know she sees, but she's got to be up there pretty upset with me that I didn't do this stuff a few years earlier. She always wanted to be a TV star or a movie star, not for the greater good, for her own personal benefit.
And I know I'm not one, I don't like doing this, but I know.
I don't either. You know that.
She's pushing me.
And she's, a little bit jealous of you doing it, and also a little bit encouraging you that she didn't get to do it, so you can do it for her.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember her the first time she saw that commercial of the woman that said, "Where's the beef?"
Yeah.
She goes, "I could do that." She goes,
She did get to do a little acting. Mark's friend put her
Oh,
in
right, they did a little movie.
a
Right.
short film where she had, wasn't it Dad that played the
Yeah,
person she
they
kidnapped?
tied him up in the trunk or
Yeah,
something.
she had him in the trunk, and she said, "Shut up," to him in the trunk of the car.
I don't even remember what that was about, but they did do that movie. She was excited about that.
Yeah. And she, unfortunately, it didn't turn her into the celebrity that she wanted to be.
I can't believe it. It's 4 years this month, and Uncle Richie was 3 years yesterday. So
Could sure use some of his comedy these days.
oh, I'm telling you. So that makes you stand back too and look, and life is too short. We have to be nice to each other.
Well, that's it. I mean, the reality that we all live in every day and that we don't actually give any credit to is that none of us know how much longer we have left. We know that we have a finite time in this life, in this body.
Right.
And we don't know when it's going to end. It could be any moment for any of us. It's one of the things that we learn from a great tragedy, like what's going on in the world. It could happen to any of us at any time. And that should not cause you to think, well, screw it, I'm going to die anyway. I can do whatever I want. It should cause you to think, how do I maximize my time and the love that I share with others while I'm here? Because that's the only thing that goes with you. You and I are both very spiritual person. I don't know about people out there listening. There could be atheists listening, and I have full respect for any choice that you make about spirituality or a choice that you don't make. You and I both know that there's something real and eternal that goes on. We've experienced it. And I fully believe that the only thing that goes with us when we leave, and that eternal part leaves and goes on to whatever's next, is the love that we've shared with each other.
Right.
That's why getting together and doing family Zoom parties are so important. Not just now, but even when this ends. That's something we should make sure we do all the time. Someone can't come to a family party and everybody else is getting together, set up a little laptop and Zoom in the corner so that they can be there too.
I mean, it took a lot to get everybody scheduled together to do 2 weeks in Italy we were there a month, but the 2 weeks that the family was there, I mean, that almost didn't happen because of Mark and Allison's business, but thank God we were able to do that. And we had that time last year to do. It was just incredible. And like you say, so we don't have to be together, but we can be on the computer and see everybody.
Is Dad still repeating himself every day saying, it's a good thing we weren't planning on going to Italy this year?
Yeah.
He said that when you were still down here and I was still up there with him when he came back. Almost every day he said that to me.
Yeah, I know.
And we are blessed. I mean, the timing was certainly divine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And all of it is. I mean, I think, again, that's the lesson. There's no accidents. I talked with Joe Chiodo and Mike Farrell about that the other day, about, people saying that, well, how could God let something like this happen if there's really a God? Well, how could God not? Isn't this our chance to find our way out of the mess that we've created with our own free will? Isn't this our opportunity to make good on the promise for our country that's supposed to be freedom for all, and that maybe we should actually look at trying to find a way to build a country that actually works for everyone, not just for the elite and the career politicians who fly all over the place and party on taxpayer dollars. We're the ones in control. We need to take the control back. And I don't mean in a physical revolution kind of way. I'm talking about an emotional and mental revolution where we vote the people in power. We allow them to take advantage of us. We watch the media outlets that manipulate us. If we unplug from all that and we decide that we want to restructure all that, then it'll happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't have an answer for that.
No, we have to. I think we just have to take stock and be still, and we'll find it. We'll figure out a way. Look at, like you say, I mean, you're reconstructing and revamping how you do things. The teachers are reconstructing and revamping how they do things. You know, this Sunday there's going to be a country western concert on TV with all of them performing from their homes. They're each going to do a thing from their home. So people are finding ways, you know, so the giant timeout, a time to surrender and be still inside. I don't mean, you know what I mean by surrender to yourself, and just let it be. The Beatles, let it be.
Who knew that you were going to quote the Beatles on this podcast?
I know. I didn't even know I was going to talk on this podcast.
Yeah, well, the reason I invited you on was because I had so much to say to you and to the world that I didn't even need you to talk. I could have talked the whole time by myself. But just wanted you for support and wanted to be with you this way because, as I said, I do miss you. This has made me realize the things like this that I've taken for granted over the last years.
Yeah.
Those moments that we get together are so special. I'm not talking just you and I mean everybody.
I know. Yes.
And we don't treat them with enough respect, I think. I haven't. I'll speak for myself. I don't know about others out there.
This week, it's funny you should say that, because 2 or 3 people or four people that went on the Italy trip have reached out and said, you know, I'm so grateful that you really pushed to have us come and have that time, you know, and we all felt it. We all felt it, no matter which week it was. Each week was special.
And you were the catalyst for that whole thing. You were the driving force behind it all. It was a celebration for you, but without you, it would have never happened. What I mean by that is without you pushing. I mean, even when, we suggested maybe you should look at other villas and do some due diligence. No, I found the one I want. Aye, General. And, I have to say in front of everybody, you were right. That was the right place.
So we need to bring that kind of a feeling and that kind of a determination to the situation we're in now, to make this a better place for all of us. This is our chance. This is the gigantic reset button for us to find new ways of being and communicating and being kind and considerate of one another. And like you say, the heroes are the people on the front lines doing the work.
Yeah, and I think that, through great challenges, it's hard, especially at first, to understand what the opportunity is from the challenge. But every challenge provides an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And just speaking specifically about me, so I can give an example, like you said, I'm restructuring, reconfiguring. With speaking live at schools, which was, about to really become a recurring revenue stream for me and something that I could rely on and make money to build this into something that I can support myself. And as you know, my eventual goal is to make a ton of money and give most of it away, like 80%, because I've learned to live on so little the last 5 years. I've realized what I need and what I don't. But the opportunity for me in this is that every school has now had to rework how they do things, and technology has come to the forefront. So now with much less travel and with a lot more office hours, I can get to a lot more schools and a lot more kids.
Right.
Ultimately, not right away, but ultimately, eventually, that's going to happen where I can sit in a place like this and do 5 in a row on a day. This is my day to do school talks. I'm going to do them all day.
Right.
And so that's a great opportunity for me that comes from this really incredibly tragic thing that is challenging people to their core. And I think the other opportunity I want to sort of not finish, we're getting close to an hour, but or it may even be there yet because I didn't set a timer, but it's an opportunity to learn to stick together, that we are in this together, and let's not turn on each other when things get hard. Let's turn the other way and stand for each other when things get difficult, and find a way to encourage and support each other, understanding that everybody's going through a really hard time right now. And that's not different than any other time. This is the normal way of being because life is challenging.
Right. This is the ultimate challenge for all of us right now.
And which
And
makes
we need to lean on each other for that, for support and moral support and strength.
Yeah, and being the ultimate challenge also makes it the ultimate opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
There is an opportunity now to recreate the world.
Right.
This is an incredible opportunity that didn't exist a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We can redo everything. What if everything stopped and we had to reevaluate everything and we could actually build something from a proactive place instead of a reactive place? What would we build? How would we build the world? That's the question I think we should all be pondering. And that answer funnels down into, okay, if that's how I see I want the world to be, what can I do about it? How can I be the best and bring my gifts to the world to help nudge it in that direction?
Right. And we all have gifts. We all have gifts and talents that we can share and be useful to each other and helpful to each other.
Yeah, so I think that's a good place to end. And I'll give you a chance to say anything that you want to say, and then I'm going to end with a prayer.
Well, I'll just say that I love you for what you do. And I know it's been a struggle. And I just support you 100% in helping people, because that was my whole career and my whole life's work. And you're doing it in a different way. But I love you, and I want to thank you for everything you do and everything you've done for Dad and I as well.
You're welcome, and thank you for saying that. I mean, to be your personal valet, your and Dad's personal valet for a month in Italy was probably one of the greatest joys I've ever experienced. Such a gift to be able to do that for you guys, even fighting through the little annoyances that happened all along the way, dealing with all your quirks, as we all have. It was incredible. And I want to end with the Ho'oponopono. I think I said it.
Yes, I want to say it.
I want to say it to you, to myself, and to everybody listening out there, but also to everyone who's not listening. This is for the whole world.
Let's say it together in English, because I like the English.
Yeah, well, that is the way to say it. So, do you remember it?
Start.
Okay. Wait. Now I forgot. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
That's for everyone out there. Be well, take care of yourselves, and most of all, take care of each other. Bye, Mom.